This is the new $459 Nothing Phone 3A Pro. It's the latest mid-range device from the company, and after taking 500 photos with it, I can safely say that Nothing is one step closer to having a fully capable camera system in a sub-$500 phone. But there are still a few places that it falls flat.
I'm Becca, I take tech outside. This is everything you need to know about the camera on Nothing's new Phone 3A Pro.
The big camera news in this device is that it's Nothing's first attempt at a periscope telephoto lens.
In case you don't know, which it's okay not to know, a periscope lens works just like the periscope on a submarine, so light enters your phone this way and it hits a mirror here that then directs it downwards through lens elements and then onto a sensor. This allows your phone to have a longer focal length, which means more zoom in this case, without having a thicker phone. It's pretty cool, right?
With this new lens, Nothing can offer 3 times optical zoom that equates to around 70mm full frame equivalent at 50 megapixels, or 6 times optical zoom that equates to around 140mm at 12 megapixels. And in good light, the results are crisp, without being over-sharpened. Nothing is also boasting this lens's ability to focus as close as 15 centimeters for what the company calls tele-macro capture. Again, the results are solid. Even when compared to the king of telephoto here in the States, the S25 Ultra, the Phone 3A Pro can hold its own against Samsung's 3 and 5 times telephoto offerings. And in low light, I'm seeing some pretty solid performance, although every once in a while it does underexpose. That being said, it holds on to a fair amount of detail, and it's half of the price of the S25 Ultra. While we see many Chinese phone makers provide a periscope lens on mid-range devices, it's hard to find that feature at this price here in the US. And I can only hope that it encourages other phone makers, Apple, Google, to bring more lens options to folks who don't want to break the bank. Although, I'm not holding my breath. What the Phone 3A Pro has that Apple and Google do provide at a lower cost is a capable main lens. Well, most of the time. One of these photos is from the Phone 3A Pro, one is from the S25 Ultra, and the other is from the iPhone 16 Pro. Same idea here, and I haven't changed the order. Are you able to tell which is from which? Alright, here are the answers. The only consistently noticeable difference between these 3 phones is that typically the iPhone holds on to more contrast, the Phone 3A Pro and the S25 Ultra saturate the image a bit more, and at night, Phone 3A Pro washes out the shadows. It's actually one of my larger complaints about the main lens on Phone 3A Pro. It seemingly fears shadows, and it endlessly is attempting to bring them up. I hate it. Crush them, please. Give me some contrast, some drama. And while you're at it, please speed this camera up in lower light. Unless the subject is perfectly still, this camera creates soft images that are also typically blurry. Look at the artifacts that happen here as my friend moves their arm over the game board. There is a lot of work to do in low light here, which stinks because otherwise, it's a very capable camera that can hold its own against the offerings from flagship devices. I actually prefer the image from Phone 3A Pro here the most. That pop of red, chef's kiss. And check out how much detail Phone 3A Pro holds onto here, and how pleasing the focus fall-off can be if you stay perfectly still. Heck, even portrait mode is looking pretty good, but again, a little more contrast could help. So yes, much like Phone 2A, who shares the same main camera, though Nothing claims 3A Pro's camera has been further tuned, there's still some inconsistencies in the performance from this camera's main lens. Where this device is quite consistent though, is in its disappointing ultra-wide. While warped edges on an ultra-wide photo can often sell that larger-than-life effect, on this device it comes at the cost of anything and everything in these zones lacking any sort of real detail, and becoming super morphed. With this lens, there is simply no detail or clarity in the edges. And even if you look to the center of the images, these photos, they don't have a lot going for them. In low light, you can expect some level of vignetting too. It's really disappointing, and even as a silver linings person, I'm struggling to have anything good to say about this lens. I haven't even mentioned that it's only 8 megapixels yet either. And video taken at night with this lens, it's like someone turned off the lights. I just really hope that Nothing spends a lot more time on this lens next. While we're at it, let's talk video.
Okay, Grand Central Terminal, not overrated, and let me tell you why. An absolutely stunning ceiling. These cool little walkways where you can see people move across. Who are those people? I'm a bit biased on this one, but trains that will take you to the most beautiful parts of New York State, and a whisper room that unfortunately I don't have a friend to do with me, but you get one person to stand there, and another person to stand over there, and you can hear each other. Free clock. Dogs. Did I mention the ceiling? And at the right time, you get some pretty cool light. And that is why Grand Central is not overrated. Thanks for joining.
Alright, so the audio quality could use some voice isolation assistance, the stabilization is tempting to be there, and overall the color is true to life, albeit fluctuating between exposures, a bit much for my taste. In normal light, it's video from a mid-range phone. In low light, it's simply not great, especially on the telephoto and wide-angle lenses. And in perfect light, you have a great camera. All of which is to say, you're going to get some inconsistent results, and I don't think anyone will be buying this device for its video capabilities. Although, if you've been watching this review on a phone, I'm sure everything looks mostly fine. It's when you blow it up on a larger screen that these flaws are very apparent. Also, the wide angle and 6x telephoto lenses are only available in 1080p, and there's no 24 frames per second shooting mode, which, you know how I feel about that. There's one more camera feature that is new to this lineup. A few extra shooting presets. That's soft focus, black and white film, wide angle, and lenticular, that are all presented in this slick UI and supposed to elevate your photography. I actually love the black and white mode. It adds a bit of grain and kicks up the contrast, but otherwise I've had little use for these. Where the phone 3A really shines though is not its camera, it's in its visual design and software. Nothing makes some of the most unique looking Android devices. And the Phone 3A Pro is no different. It has the exposed back, the glyph lights, matte gray rails, and of course a techno-style Android skin, plus sleek animations. I just love looking at this thing. And in my first week of using this new device, I kept hoping that whenever I laid it down on a table, someone might notice how cool it looked and nerd out with me.
Sadly, I hang out with folks who could care less about gadgets, so if you have a feeling about how this phone looks, please let me know down in the comments because I could really use a nerdy friend right now.
Like really, I'm in love with it. On a call with Nothing, they explained to me that they're not trying to be for everyone, and because of this, they can design something that is more eye-catching and daring. And in 2025, where all phones look very similar, laying this phone on a table makes me feel unique. And this is a polarizing feature, but personally, I'm a huge fan of the visual notifications, or glyph lights as the company calls them. Notifications from this device feel more ambient, or a part of the natural world. And I understand that it's not for everyone, but it is for me. New this year is also better waterproofing, with an IP64 rating, which means it can handle splashes from any direction, but does not mean it is submergible, so you still gotta be somewhat careful. Speaking of careful, this screen is incredibly scratch prone. It comes with a screen protector on it, which scratched very quickly for me, so I took it off.
Brand new device.
And within 2 hours,
2 new scratches on the screen. Oh my God, I'm so mad at myself. Why did I take it off? Ugh, why didn't I put another one on? Shucks. Guess this is what $500 extra on a phone gets you. A screen that doesn't scratch in literally hours.
so that's everything I've noticed about the camera in the Nothing Phone 3A Pro. Other things to note, battery life has been great. I really haven't had to think about it. It's got a 5,000 milliamp hour battery. It does have a slower processor technically than what's in Phone 2. Hasn't really been an issue for me. Otherwise, nothing. You have a great camera here. It's just being plagued by its weakest links, which are its ultra-wide camera, its like lack of contrast, and its low-light video. Also, could I please just get 24 frames per second filming? Is that like too much to ask for? I'm Becca. If you like this video, subscribing would mean the world to me, but more than that, I just hope to see you back here next week. I'll see you in the next one, bud.